want to tell you something up front. I don't scare easily. I've lived alone for 6 years. I've heard every creak my apartment makes. I know the difference between the pipes settling and something that isn't the pipes. But there's one night I still can't explain. Not the sound. Not what I found on my porch. And especially not the second knock. The one that came from inside my apartment. 40 minutes after I'd already locked every door. If you've ever been home alone during a storm and heard something that made you stop breathing just to listen harder, you're going to understand exactly why I still sleep with a light on. This is what happened to me on the night of October the 9th. Thought I'll give you the boring part first, because the boring part matters. It's how you know I wasn't looking for anything strange to happen. I was 29. I lived alone in a small second-floor apartment above a shuttered laundromat, in a building old enough that the radiators still clanked like they were arguing with each other. My street was quiet, the kind of quiet where you know your neighbor's cars better than their faces. That evening, the storm had been building since sunset. Not a dramatic one. No thunder, no lightning show. Just steady, heavy rain, the kind that turns streetlights into smeared halos and makes the whole world sound like static. I'd made dinner, put a show on for background noise, and was scrolling on my phone on the couch. Nothing about the night felt different. That's what I keep coming back to. Nothing warned me. At around 9:40 p.m., my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Is your porch light broken?" I stared at it for a second, confused. I didn't recognize the number. No name, no context. I assumed it was the wrong number and set the phone down. 10 minutes later, another text from the same number. "You should check it." I want you to sit with that phrase for a second, because in the moment I didn't. I brushed it off as some kid messing around or a scam text. You get those constantly. I didn't reply. I didn't get up. I went back to my show. That was mistake number one. At 10:52 p.m., something knocked on my front door. Not a doorbell. I don't have one. A physical knock. 3 slow, deliberate raps. Given the storm outside, my first thought was a neighbor needing help or a delivery driver lost in the rain. I got up, walked to the door, and looked through the peephole. There was no one there. Now, my porch light, the one the text had asked about, it was off. I hadn't touched it in weeks. It's on a timer, and it's never failed before. I stood at that door for what felt like a full minute, listening. Just rain. Just the radiator clanking somewhere behind me. I told myself it was the wind knocking a loose shutter, or kids messing around before ringing and running. I went back to the couch, but now the show wasn't background noise anymore. I turned the volume down without noticing, straining to hear past it. At 11:15, my phone buzzed again. Same unknown number. "You didn't check, Tort." That's when the calm I'd been holding on to really started to slip. Because how would a stranger, texting me from a number I didn't know, have any idea whether I'd opened my door or not, unless they could see it, unless they were close enough to watch? I did something I don't usually do. I locked the door. Really locked it, deadbolt and chain, which I almost never bother with. I checked my one window that faces the street. The rain was coming down in sheets, and beyond it, the street was empty. No cars, no umbrellas, nothing. I texted back this time. Just one word, "Who is this?" No reply came. Not for the next 20 minutes, which somehow felt worse than getting one. I want to be honest about what I did next, because it wasn't smart, but it's what actually happened. I turned off most of the lights in my apartment, kitchen, hallway, leaving just the lamp beside the couch. I don't fully know why. Some instinct told me that if someone really was watching the apartment, a lit-up home told them exactly where I was and what I was doing. Darkness felt, wrongly, like cover. I sat there with my phone in my hand, the rain hammering the window, my heart doing this slow, heavy thud I could feel in my ears. At 11:41 p.m., the porch light outside came back on. I hadn't touched it. It's on a timer that I set up 2 years ago and never changed. It doesn't turn on at random, but there it was, glowing through the gap in my curtains, like something had reset it, or someone had. I remember standing at that window for a long time, watching that small orange glow through the rain, waiting to see a shape cross through it. Nothing did, but the not seeing was almost worse than seeing would have been. My imagination filled in every shadow twice over. At 12:03 a.m., midnight had come and gone, and my phone lit up one more time. Same number. Good. Now check the back door. Tot. I don't own a back door. My apartment has exactly one entrance. The front door I'd already bolted 3 times over. Whoever was texting me either didn't know my apartment at all, or knew it a lot better than I did, and was testing to see how I'd react to something that shouldn't exist. That's the moment I called the police non-emergency line. I explained everything, calmly. I thought, though, my voice was shaking by the end. They told me an officer would swing by when available, given the storm had every unit stretched thin that night. I appreciated the honesty. I did not appreciate being alone for however long when available turned out to mean. At 12:47 a.m., exactly 4 minutes shy of an hour after that last text, something knocked on a door in my apartment. Not the front door. It came from behind me, from the hallway that leads to my bedroom and the bathroom. 2 slow knocks against wood from somewhere inside my home. I want to describe what that does to a person, because I don't think words fully capture it. Every instinct in your body tells you to run, and every part of your brain freezes you in place instead, because running means moving toward whatever direction the sound came from, and standing still means at least you know where you are. I stayed on that couch for I don't know how long, maybe 90 seconds, maybe 5 minutes. Time didn't behave normally. Eventually, I picked up the fireplace poker I keep by the hearth, more for the weight of it in my hand than any real confidence I'd use it, and I walked down that hallway. My bathroom door was closed. I always leave it open. I stood outside it, rain roaring against the roof, my own pulse louder than the storm. I pushed it open, empty, just the shower curtain slightly swaying, like it had been touched recently, or like the old window above the tub, the one I never opened because it's painted shut, had let in a draft it shouldn't have been able to let in. I checked the window, still painted shut, still locked, exactly as it always is. I checked my bedroom next. Empty. Closet. Empty. Under the bed. I made myself look. Empty. But on my bedroom windowsill, where there had been nothing when I'd gone to bed the night before, there was a single object. A key. Not mine. An old brass key. The kind that fits a lock that hasn't existed in this building for decades, sitting there like it had been placed. Not dropped. For to there. That's when I heard sirens outside. The officer. Finally arriving. 40-some minutes after my call. I have never in my life been so relieved to see red and blue light through a rain-soaked window. The officer did a full walkthrough. Front door untouched, deadbolt engaged the entire time, no forced entry. Bathroom window, painted shut, undisturbed for what looked like years based on the paint seal. No back door, obviously, because my apartment doesn't have one. No sign of anyone having entered. He asked about the key. I couldn't explain it. Neither could he. The unknown number, when he tried calling it in front of me, went straight to a dead line, disconnected, as it had never been active at all, even though it had texted me 4 separate times that night. Here's the detail that still keeps me up. He checked the porch light timer. It was functioning exactly as programmed. It should have turned on, automatically at 8:45 p.m., hours before it actually did. According to the timer's own log, it had never gone off. As far as the hardware was concerned, that light had been on the entire evening, which means either the timer was lying, or I was seeing something the timer never recorded. He couldn't find a source for the second knock. He couldn't explain the key. He filed a report, told me to change my locks. Anyway, I did, the very next day, and left once the rain had finally started to ease. I moved out of that apartment 4 months later. Not immediately. I told myself I was being irrational, that there had to be a logical explanation I just hadn't found yet. I almost believed it until the week before I moved, when I was packing boxes in that same bedroom. I found the old key again. I'd kept it, morbidly curious, in a drawer. Underneath it, scratched faintly into the wood of the windowsill, in letters I swear were not there before, were 3 words. You checked late. I never got another text from that number. I never found out who or what sent those messages, or how something knocked on a door inside a locked apartment with no way in. I've told myself every rational explanation I can think of. None of them fully fit. All I know is this. If your phone ever buzzes on a rainy night, telling you to check something you already know is fine, check it immediately. More stories like this live at Grim Echo Horror Stories.